Hi, everybody. I didn't see the 321 numbers. Welcome to my Facebook Live today, which is what my Higher Wisdom, Higher Teachings. And today I wanted to go over something very intimate, something very private for me. I have been guided to share this part of me in the very beginning of this year. However, I just never felt it was the right time to speak about this topic because it's real, which is the dark night of the soul. So I want to go ahead and, hi Misha, just share with you what that was for me in 2016. So in December 2015, I actually became pregnant, and I went into January of 2016 knowing that I was going to miscarry. So I ended up having a long month miscarriage because I felt I wanted my own body to expel it, but it just wasn't doing it. So I ended up having January 27th of 2016 a DNC. I've never had one before, and I just felt that after the surgery, I just felt like my body was violated, even though it was a consensual thing that I decided to do. So because I felt violated with my own feelings with the procedure, I actually had a very painful recovery. Normally, the doctors give you a slip that says it'll take about 2 to 4 weeks. You'll like spring back. And it took me 6 to 8 months to actually bounce back to my normal feeling self. I had pain in my ovary region the whole time, off and on. And it was just like unusual from me speaking with other people, saying how they too went through stuff, but they didn't deal with this length of time. So that was one thing that started my 2016 that way. Okay. So I dealt with that. Then in May of 2016, I had to quit my part-time job. And what I want you guys to understand is that part-time job was for me, it was like my own money to do whatever I want with it. So what I did was I would spend that money on all my certifications, any classes that would come up on Theta Healing, anything that I was using to increase my spiritual knowledge. I was investing that money in those courses. So I felt a sense of freedom every time, just because I felt like I grew spiritually stronger every time. So when it came to the point that I had to quit, I did not have any recourse but to quit because my husband was being emotionally and verbally abusive with my kids. So I had a 13-year-old that would stay home and a 4-year-old at the time. So I had to quit. I couldn't continue my part-time job. I couldn't basically allow my kids, well, I was gone in the evening because my shift was from 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. I couldn't allow for them to continue in that type of environment. What was happening with my husband was he felt as if he came from work and he just felt bombarded playing the mom and dad part. So he would lash out and would take it out on the kids. So my 4-year-old actually was starting to have like mental disturbances because he would be so affected in how my husband would treat his brother. And my son is gifted and is an empath. So he would probably absorb what my older son wasn't being able to speak back or defend himself in a way that my little one was holding everything in. So it came to a point where I I had to tell God, you know what? I have to, as much as it hurts me, because I didn't want to leave my job. I had left my work 2 years ago because my mother could not take care of my little one anymore. And I don't have it in me to put my kids in daycare. So I had already experienced 2 years before this point of my husband not giving me money. He was not supportive. He wasn't like, oh, hey, do you need this? Or are you out of this? Do you need new underwear? Do you need socks? Basic things that I wouldn't have. And coming from a person who was career oriented, I was making, in my career, I was making $75,000 a year. But I gave that up to stay with my son. And not only to stay with my son, but I had a nudge in my soul that it was time for me to leave my job. And I'm like, how do I leave my job when I have a full salary, like $75,000 a year? That's amazing. And I was by the time I was 30, that's the kind of money I was making. So I had so that was 2 years back, right? So then I had this little part-time job at a gym. I was a receptionist earning $11 an hour. And I went ahead and took that because it was a fun job for me. And it was just that money that I needed so I can invest in myself. So I had to quit that job. So then I went back to depending on my husband. And my husband is that kind of macho, aggressive, and demeaning, and belittling. And he took advantage of that I no longer had a job. So I was fully dependent on him. So he took advantage of the situation of being verbally and emotionally abusive. So what I did is I allowed it. I felt that because I didn't have a job, I felt I did not have self-worth. I felt that I wasn't a nobody because I wasn't contributing to the household. I felt that I had no say because I wasn't helping with anything. And I didn't see how important it was of my job of being a stay-at-home mom, how our job never ends. It's 24/7. And if anything, it's even more stressful because you don't get a break. It's like continual. You don't stop. So I think with that I didn't have a break. And then dealing with this abusive behavior, verbally abusive, and not getting any financial help. And I couldn't even rely on my parents because my parents were also in a financial bind. So I had nobody. And then I had to think, do I really want a divorce? Do I really want to leave? Because that would shake up my world in a different way, meaning I would have to see how I got a job again, where my kids were going to be, whether I was going to have to send my older one back with the dad and I was just going to stay with the 4-year-old, where I was going to live, how was I going to get money to get another place, and I have bad credit. So how was I going to do all that? So I prayed and I meditated and I received that for me, divorce was not the answer. I was like, what are you talking about? This is like insane. How am I supposed to stay in this type of relationship? You got to be kidding me. So I continued. So that was in May. Okay. So May, June, July, August, we went on a family vacation and we went to Hawaii. We have a condo out there. And the whole time I was never relaxed. I was just very concerned about the unknown. What was I going to do? Like this whole vacation thing, this whole Maui condo thing means nothing to me. Because if I'm not happy from the inside, I can't be who I am. So the whole time I did meditate, I would sit under the stars and I would connect and I would ask to please give me some guidance. I wasn't receiving anything. My trip ended, and on our last day, we were in the airport coming back from Maui to Burbank. And I remember like a conversation that led to something that was the beginning of my depression and my breakdown. And what happened was, I can't remember exactly what happened of the conversation, but my husband told me, like straight in my face, very serious, that I was a woman of no action. And that broke me. That was the beginning of my spiral. That was the beginning of the dark night of my soul. I sunk into depths that I didn't even know the darkness is so real. I didn't even know how the capacity that we allow one person and the capacity that we give that power to that one person to break you. Because that's what happened. And I didn't know at that moment that I gave him that power. Now I know. But that's what happened to me. It was a few words that broke me. So the whole flight back from Maui to Burbank, it's 5 hours. I cried the whole way back. And I remember we got off the plane. He did apologize. He was sending me text messages through the plane saying how sorry he was. But words can kill. So what happened was I came back devastated, and that was in August. So come September, I started having anxiety attacks. I started having my body broke out with twitching. Literally, I was twitching like a frickin' popcorn. Like my eyelid, my forehead, my chin, my temples, my scalp, my arms, my butt cheeks, my legs, my toes. Everywhere I was twitching. And I finally had to go to the doctor. Oh, and I was having digestive issues. I was having like weird stuff coming out from my poop. This is like TMI, but it's real. This is what stress can cause you. So I had to go to a gastro doctor. I actually went to get 2 second opinions because I was convinced I had something. And I was telling them what tests I wanted ordered. I wanted all my poop samples tested for parasites. I wanted tested for any type of infection. So I gave them everything that I felt that I needed to be tested for. And guess what? All my results, thankfully, came back normal. So I was like, what is going on? So then I continued with my poop issues. I became obsessed with my poop. I was always looking at it. I was seeing like different things in there that is not normal. And then my twitching. So I went to like 5 doctors, 2 gastro doctors, and 3 different type of internists. And according to them, I was normal. And I'm like, I'm not fine. There is something wrong with me. Okay, so finally, I got tired of all the doctor bills. I got tired of I literally had a booklet of everything that I would jot down of what I was seeing in my poop. I was tired of jotting down all my new things that were coming up, that I ended up having to, okay, so by November, so fast forward, that was September. By November, I was getting worse. I was in the shower on my knees And I swear to you, I wanted the earth to swallow me up. I didn't want to exist anymore. I didn't want to live anymore. I I just didn't want to be part of this world. How can I create this kind of world for me? How can I be living this? This was so polar opposite of my life prior to the spiral. This is exactly why I did not have any kids early on, and why I waited 6 years into my first marriage to have any kids, so I can be financially secure, so I did not have to depend on a man. So here I am. I'm broken down. I don't want to live. I don't want to exist. I did not have any suicidal thoughts of like how to take my life, but I did have like I did. I actually the thought was if I would drive and if I could just crash into somebody, or if someone would do that to me, like something happened. And that is where I was at. So finally, I got tired of the doctors, and I hadn't seen my own theta healer for a while because I had already been 3 years into my healing, where I had already I worked with her for a year and a half. And then on the third year, I was like, okay, I'm good. I don't need that help. I can do it on my own. So what happened was I ended up seeing her again because I needed to get out of this. Like, what was it? So I saw her in November. And in my session, if you've had a soul session with me, you'll know that sometimes you think that your problem is something and something else comes up. And that is because something is stuck in the subconscious that is making you have that problem at that moment, but your human mind can't comprehend that. So you start to think, oh, it's this, right? So I will share with you what came up in my session with my theta healer. So apparently, I had become, in this whole time, I became submissive. I wrote down everything because I'll forget. I became a yes person. I became non-vocal. I became trapped in my own feelings. I was a doormat. I became resentful of my life, ashamed of myself, and I felt I was stuck in this dark hole. So in my theta healing session, what came out was not all that, not what I was going through, not what I thought because I wanted to die. It wasn't that. What came out of my theta healing session was when I was 8 years old, I was baptized in a church. And that decision that was made for me took away my voice, took away my power, took away my ability to stand up for myself. And because I was at that age, I could not speak that I didn't want to do it. But I did it because my parents wanted me to be part of this religion. So this whole thing of me losing my power was coming from the age of 8, not from what I was living now. We cleared that. And after my soul session, my theta healing session, I noticed a difference. However, the universe wanted me to work on myself, to go back and do my own healing. So I started to do that, but I still felt like there was something missing. Like like it hadn't all clicked yet. I went to the doctor again. And this time I go to the doctor because I tell the doctor, I want medication. I want you to give me something so I can feel normal again. My doctor sat me down and he says, What kind of medication? I said, I don't know, something to maybe like take the edge off. He's like, okay. He says, I can prescribe you a medication, but that's not going to fix your problem. And I was like, huh? What do you mean? He asked me, what's going on in your home? And I told him I wasn't working. My husband was taking advantage of that. I was being verbally and emotionally abused. I told him everything that I just told you guys. And he said he gave me a story that someone that he knew, a girl went through the same thing. And he told me, once you start working, he says, it'll change. But the thing is, I wasn't going back to work. It's not like, oh yeah, my desire and my will and my passion is for me to be my own boss. That's it. I'm not working for anybody else. But my doctor thought, well, once you get back to work and you can, have a good babysitter for your kids, then you won't have these problems. But he's not going to understand what my heart wants to do. So he told me. So he's like, I would give you medication if I saw you were nervous, if I saw that you were high strung, he's like, if I saw that you were, I guess those people that worry so much, you can tell. But because my demeanor is very calm, he's like, I don't see that in you. If I give you medication, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to help you mask the problem. And that just pinged my heart. That was like the eye-opener of my Theta healing session that I had about me losing my voice, me losing my inner power, me losing my ability to speak and to stand up for myself and to say what I want, what I don't want. When he said that, it was like, I need to do what was said in my session. And for some reason, we are so stubborn that some other things have to occur for you to get it. So I understand when I'm having these soul sessions with my own clients. I understand the whole process and sometimes how we can even doubt the process. So when he said that, I was like, oh, that's true. I'm masking. I'm not fixing anything. Why? Because my ego was having me stay in my comfort zone and not letting me be my true self. Not letting me be my powerful self. The power in me, my ego was like, no, you're okay. You can stay there. No, you can put up with it. No, you're okay. You've dealt with this. You saw your mom go through this. Now it's your turn. And that's bullshit. I don't cuss, but I will tell you that is straight bullshit. You don't have to listen to that. So what happened was I started in December. This change just flourished in me. Now, the people that work with me will know that I do divine downloads. And what happens in those divine downloads is sometimes it takes time for them to activate on a cellular level and on a DNA level. Sometimes it's immediate. You just see it right away. So this information that was downloaded in my system, and after I had that talk with my doctor, it just like got in sync. And I started voicing my opinion. So this is who I told you who I became as a submissive person, but this is who I am now, starting in December. I became a person of action. I became a yes person to myself, not to the people that want my answer, but my answer to myself was yes. I brought back that fire in my soul. I became a person of, if a thought came in, I would act upon it. And I started seeing like this effect of progression, of getting myself out of this dark hole by me working on me. And it wasn't so much it wasn't so much like my husband. So what we have to realize is that sometimes these things happen, but it's not your husband. It's not your parents. It's not your boyfriend. It's not your girlfriend. It's not the people around you. It's for you to get back on track and finding who you really are. So everything that I endured, again, was not about my husband. It was about me finding my voice, using my voice, finding my own inner power, my own inner strength, and guess the most important part was finding and knowing how to set my boundaries. It's very important. And so then I can speak from my heart and express what I wanted, what I felt was right. And so I had to tell my husband, I had to be willing to walk away. That was one thing I was fearing. I had to believe that if I was going to walk away, that the universe was going to take care of my next steps. I had to be willing to go and get a job. I had to be willing to accept help in any which way or form. And guess what? When I spoke to my parents, when I was dead serious about moving out, I spoke to my parents. And even my dad said, we may not have money to help you, but we can give you, because they sleep in separate rooms, we can give you your mom's room and you can stay there with the kids. And it's a small room. It's not, oh my gosh, they don't even have internet. So anyway, so I was willing to do that. And then I told my husband I wanted a divorce, that I could not live like this, and that everything that I have been going through is my body is getting my attention, and I can no longer do it. And I told him I can no longer stay in this marriage, try to fix it, and then it goes back. Because then what happens? I will go back, and I can't. I told him I have goals, I have dreams. I need to continue what I'm doing with my spiritual business. I need to continue with my spiritual growth. And if he didn't get it, oh well. And guess what? I surrendered. I let it all go. Everything that I feared, everything that I didn't want to have to go through, everything that I just was empowered to do it. I was empowered to just let it go. So after that shift started. And when that shift came, I started working on my business, and I forgot about my husband. We were still living together, but I told him, what you tell me doesn't matter anymore. What you say doesn't matter anymore. I'm going to do what makes me happy. I'm going to do what's best for me. I don't care about you. You continue doing your thing, and I'm going to do my thing. I'm no longer telling you anything. I'm not sharing with you information about my business. I'm not sharing information about what I'm doing. You just worry about yourself, and I just do me. That's when it all changed. That's when my life started just having a trickle effect with all my efforts, with my goals. I started becoming aligned with them. And this was the very last thing that I needed to heal. And it caused a ruckus in 2016. And when you are having this type of a breakdown, you are getting ready for the next level of ascension. And that is why I'm guided to help light workers, because we don't understand what the hell is going on in our life. Why the hell am I going through all this stuff? In my case, I had already done 2 years of freaking healing. I had already, this is according to me, but the universe was like, no, you're not done yet. And because I had such resistance, I had such a bumpy ride. And that is where I help light workers to see that it doesn't have to be that way. And when you're in the healing process, shit happens. Why? Because it wants it to come up and surface for you to meet your true self. Because this is the lower dense us, and this is the higher self here. So in order for us to reach, you need to work on all those layers, yeah? Until you are right here, hand in hand, and then you become one with your higher self. So that is the point where I want to take you guys there, so you no longer have to depend on someone reading the cards for you. You don't have to depend someone giving you their opinion. You don't have to depend on confirmations, because you know dead straight that what is coming to you is for you, and it's from the universe, and that is your sign to move forward. So I hope that my story helps some of you, or share my story. I don't mind. But I'm more than happy to, always video chat with you guys, in anything that I can help the ride be less bumpy. And I appreciate you guys being here, Barbara, Lacey, and Misha. And for those that come on later, I hope that you too get something from this. And I was going to share, I have a session, but I was going to share a question. I actually have two questions, but I'm going to do a Facebook Live on Friday on that question. And I'm going to be more on our group doing more Facebook Lives. I would like to take some Q&As to see, because I know things come up, how I can help. Okay, so you guys have an awesome Wednesday, and stick true to who you are. Stick true to who you are. Not stick to who you are, stick to your truth, your true self, because that is where we want you to be. So you guys have a great week, and I'll see you guys on Friday. I love you guys. Namaste.